In a time long ago, in a land far from home, a people lived in exile. Their hearts were heavy, like stones in a dry river. They walked through ancient streets, their faces etched with sorrow, dreaming of the mountains and valleys they once knew. The dust of a foreign land settled on their clothes, and the silence of their quiet homes echoed with memories of laughter and songs. They remembered a time when their city stood proud, its walls strong and its temple magnificent. Now, only whispers of that glory remained, carried on the wind like forgotten lullabies. Among them was a man named Ezekiel, a prophet with eyes that saw beyond the dust and despair. He saw the heaviness in his people's hearts and felt their longing for home. One day, as he sat by a river, the sky above him seemed to open. A vision unfolded before him, not of this world, but of a world filled with divine light and wonder. He saw incredible beings, wheels within wheels, and a throne of dazzling sapphire. It was a message, a powerful reminder that even in exile, God had not forgotten them. He was still with them, his presence a steady flame in the darkest night. Then the vision changed. Ezekiel was taken to a valley, a place of profound silence and stillness. But it wasn't empty. The valley floor was covered with bones, dry and scattered, bleached white by the sun. They were countless, a silent testament to a life that was no more. A question echoed in the stillness. Son of man, can these bones live? It seemed impossible. How could life come from such emptiness? How could hope spring from such complete desolation? But the prophet was told to speak, to prophesy to the bones and command them to hear the word of the Lord. So Ezekiel spoke. He called out to the dry bones, his voice filled with a faith he barely understood. And as he spoke, a sound began, a rattling that grew louder and louder. The bones began to move, to shake, to come together, bone to its bone. It was a sight beyond belief. Skeletons rose from the dust, standing tall across the valley floor. Then another miracle. Sinews and flesh appeared upon them, and skin covered them over. An army of bodies stood where there was once only dust and decay. Yet there was no breath in them. They were still silent figures waiting. Again, Ezekiel was told to prophesy, this time to the wind, to the very breath of life. He called for it to come from the four corners of the earth and breathe upon these lifeless forms, and the wind came. A gentle breeze at first, then a mighty gust that swept through the valley. It entered the bodies, and they began to stir. They stood up on their feet, a vast and living army, their eyes open and full of life. The valley of death had become a valley of resurrection. The impossible had happened. This wasn't just about bones. It was a promise that a nation that felt dead could be brought back to life. This vision was for everyone who has ever felt lost or broken. It was a message of hope whispered across the ages. It tells us that what is broken can be mended, what is lost can be found, and what feels lifeless can be filled with a new spirit. God promised to take away their hearts of stone and give them hearts of flesh, soft and open to new beginnings. He would put his own spirit within them, guiding them back to a life of purpose and joy. He promised to bring them back to their own land, to rebuild what was ruined, and to make the desolate places bloom like a garden. Just like the dry bones, sometimes our own hearts can feel scattered and weary. We might feel far from home, lost in our own kind of exile. But this story reminds us that there is always hope. God sees the broken pieces and knows how to put them back together. He can breathe new life into our oldest sorrows and turn our deepest valleys into places of incredible renewal. He promises to restore, to heal, and to bring us home, not just to a place, but to a life filled with his presence and peace. Remember, even when things seem hopeless, a new beginning is always possible. He keeps his promises. Thanks for watching.